All right, y'all. So, as promised, I'm going to walk you through my AVGO trade, which I ended up making just over 500 bucks on. And this trade and similar trades that I had on were just so telling of what was going on in the market before Friday's flip and sell off. So, part of being part of growing and becoming a more experienced trader does have to do with being able to see those nuances before they happen. And there are times when I'm very in sync with the market, but this time I just totally missed it. What I was looking at was pullbacks and things that were digesting, not really recognizing that they would pop up, but there was a lot of selling pressure throughout the week or weeks. So leading up to what ended up being a sell-off on Friday, and I think it may continue, but how it's going to continue, I'm not sure. But I did lay out some of those scenarios in my newsletter. So moving on into the charts, got a lot of lines here. This is where I started to mark up on the smaller chart time frames, not necessarily here on the daily. So it looks a little jammed up here, but I do want to walk you through where I entered and where I exited. Let's bring this down to the 15-minute time frame. That way we can see a little bit more in depth of what I was looking at and what I was thinking through this, and I did have a bullish bias, which is fine, right? You can have a bullish bias as long as you recognize that you are and then you honor your stops. So I got in here in the at the end of the day because I have had this AVGO on my list for a while. So I saw it take off and I waited for this pullback. This is what typically you want to see to get in. You'll see that confirmation in the morning. You'll see a chance to get in tighter. And so far it worked, right? The next day it popped up, but it sold off immediately. I don't sell anything until after 10:30 or 11. I can buy things earlier than that by my rules, but I typically don't sell them because a lot of times in the mornings, stocks will just flush out, the algos are selling things, and then they'll quickly reverse. So here, so it's Wednesday. When I bought Thursday, we had that pop up and sell off, and I was like, okay. And then it was just holding. So I was still in the money because I got in at a good price here. And I was holding. This is where I put my stop there was several areas of support here. So that's why this is marked here. Then on this day here, it's Tuesday the 7th, the stock flushed down, but it recovered within a few hours. And at this point, I was about 30% down. If it closed below here or continued below here, I would have sold it completely or at least one contract unless it hit my 40% stop loss rule. So when it got here and reversed immediately, that's really what I want to see when something retests an area. I don't want it to linger around. I want it to hit and pop so that I'm not, so that I know that it was a retest versus it's thinking about going down further. And by this point, uh, so I entered last Wednesday or 2 weeks ago now, and we're ready a week later. It's retested here at a support level. And if you can see all these areas I've marked, they're like the gap retest. There's multiple support here. Here was a retest that there was also failed breakout here. So a lot of times when you get into, when you see an area where a previous breakout failed, if someone got in the stock and then it reached that and they stayed in and it reached that level again, sometimes they'll sell because they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for just breaking even. I'm out of here. So sometimes you will see things pull back like that. So anyways, right around this area, we see a lot of, I marked it for, there's a lot of areas of rejection and failed breakouts. So we broke out, and right here is where I hit So at this point, I reassessed and I said, okay, I'll take one contract off once I hit 50%. So a little after market open on Thursday, AVGO hit that metric and I sold one contract. And I really thought that it was just holding pretty well. So nothing in my mind. I definitely had a bias. And this is where I, as you gain more experience, you you can recognize that you have a bias, but you also have to tell yourself, like, don't forget the rest of the scenarios that could happen. So in this case, because I had that bias and because I'm seeing this like retest and go, now we come into Friday and I wasn't expecting a sell off like this, which would have been so nice to take this off the table and then get into the opposite position, especially when there's such strong selling like that. But I didn't with AVGO. But what I did do is once I started to see it breach this, it's and the whole market turning, I sold it shortly after 11. And that was break even, just about break even for that second contract. So that's where I ended up with this trade. I think it was pretty solid. I think that there are a lot of things that I am tweaking just regarding my trading in general so that I can be a little quicker to take profits and just more sustainable in my week to week earnings. I don't typically put sell orders on for my stop losses because they can definitely get triggered right away with an option. And I don't want to just get stopped out and then it's just a test to a certain area and then it pulls back up. But I have been thinking about, I have been putting into practice sell orders to take profit, like at 50% or 100%. And especially with, especially when I'm trading to the upside, when I'm late in the uptrend. So, what I mean by that is AVGO, let's go back to the daily. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Let's clean it up. So, we're really, we've been uptrending, bottomed in April, and we've been going. So, for me, this is late in the uptrend. Probably here would be late in the uptrend too. And now, in retrospect, of course, always in retrospect, you can see that that might have been that last hurrah. It's chopping around, and then I am anticipating further downside, but we'll see. And but that is one of the rules that I'm tweaking is if I'm later entering a call for a pullback or a breakout to the upside, I do want to just set a lower take profit percent, like 25 or 50%, because I would have went ahead and closed this. Let's see, I would have went ahead and after I got in at their retest here, it would have just taken that next day to close out the position for about 50%. So, and that would have been at the market open where I wouldn't have done that manually. So, those are my thoughts, and that's what I'm thinking about tweaking. And if you have any comments or any other things that you're personally seeing in the markets, I would love to hear from you. But yeah, that's the trade. All right, bye.